Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Hundreds of Chelsea. Now, as you can probably see, you can't really see me. Unfortunately, I can't sort that out. You can't really see me, but yeah, you can't really see me. Unfortunately, we're having technical issues with my laptop. Louis still wasn't here, obviously, as I said last week. Uh, so yeah, you'll only be able to hear my voice. You'll be able to see me. It is just me. Lewis isn't here, unfortunately. Yeah, but still, we're doing this, or I'm doing this pretty much talk because normally on today we would record or would go out the match build-up show for the game the game coming up. However, the game is Dynamo Kiev. It's 3-0 on aggregate, and there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of, uh, you know, in terms of the game, apart from the team that's gone out there, which I will talk about in a bit. But yes, I just thought I'd have this talk with you guys, answer all your questions that you have, and go on from there. I saw someone ask, uh, yeah, someone ask about Zidane going back to Madrid. Uh, I think it's a good move for them. I think in the grand scheme of things, for Chelsea, it's not so good because of obviously the comments Hazard has made in the past about wanting to play under Zidane, and obviously the comments made about Real Madrid. It just sort of reaffirms that he's probably going to leave. Apart from that, though, I think in terms of just from a footballing perspective, it's going to be interesting. I think it's certainly going to be interesting, particularly with how he's going to do at Madrid. Obviously, he's gone back there. He's now got what he wanted the first time around. He's got almost complete control, it seems. It seems like in terms of comings and goings, he's going to have a lot more control. What that says for people like Bale, who knows? But we'll see. What other questions have we had? Sad Boss scored. I don't know personally anything about that. You'd have to ask Louis when he gets back. I know we're wanting it to return, but there's a few sort of behind the scene things we've got to sort out. But apart from that, not really anything else. But yeah, as I said, I can't really comment on that. You'd have to ask Louis when he gets back. Thoughts? I think that's meant to be on Real Madrid already approaching Chelsea. I haven't heard anything, so if that's the case, that's a large sum of money. Fair play. I'd happily take that at this point. But apart from that, I haven't really heard anything else. Can't really comment on that. I'd love your questions. Get your questions in as much as you can. Obviously, as I said, I know you can't see me, but I want to see all your questions about, Chelsea, Chelsea, um, about the England squad that got announced today. I have some points to be made about that, but I tell you what, if you want to hear stuff about that, put some stuff in there about the chat if you want, sort of basic stuff. But I'm going to get more stuff on that tomorrow with the watch along. If it should be going ahead, hopefully it should be going ahead. But yeah, I'll be talking more about that in depth. But I can give you a basic stuff on it if you want in the chat. But yeah, other stuff like that and whatnot, just put it in the chat. Where's Louis at? I've explained. He is away, taking some time out to deal with some stuff, and he will be coming back for Everton at the earliest. Someone talking about Zidane wanting Kante and Hazard. If that happens, then yeah, we will be screwed. But I only see Hazard going. I don't see Kante leaving personally. Kante can see be one of those players that can stay like a Hazard, stay with us for a number of years. Starting 11 tomorrow. I know who I want, but I know who's going to be picked. I'm not even going to be bothering mentioning the two people that deserve to be picked at this point because it's pointless saying it. One of them, Hudson, I think probably will start off the cheek, won't because of this back injury he's meant to be having, but isn't meant to be having, but is meant to be having. So I don't really know. But starting 11, I think it's pretty much, I see it being very much similar to the starting 11 that started the home game, just because that was a good test of can these rotation players play well together, and I think it worked. Will Hazard go? Yes, I think almost certainly. I think he'll be going at this point. Would I take a swap deal for Bale and Hazard? I think I would. I think I honestly would. I know Bale at this point. I think he's 30, and his confidence is the best. But I think that I would because there's a few reasons. A small reason, and not the main reason. It would just be so funny to see a former Spurs player at the Bridge, and to be battering people left and centre. I find that quite funny. But in the bigger picture, I think the Premier League is perfect for him to come back and kind of prove himself and do whatever he needs to do and improve. Absolutely would at this point. Yeah, I think my only problem with that is we don't get the money that we would get for Hazard to improve the team. But I don't think that money is going to be used elsewhere. I don't think it's going to be used elsewhere in important areas because we're just hopeless in terms of transfers. Thoughts on those comments made by someone? For the sake of the channel, I'm not going to comment. I think that the comments made were silly. I think that they were silly to be made. They weren't the smartest comments to be made. And I'd like to think that in hindsight, he regrets those comments. But I don't know. I don't know if he does, but that's all I've got to say. I don't want to speak ill of others, especially when myself personally, I've never met the guy. I don't really know much about him and whatnot. So I'm not going to speak ill of him, but I just think the comments were silly. Will we get Zidane? No, he's on to Real Madrid at this point. The transfer ban, I saw someone else asking to appeal. I think we've appealed it in terms of we've gone to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. I don't know any more than that. Hazard has travelled with the team. The only person that hasn't, I should say, is Higuain. And that's because he's ill. Can we improve the atmosphere at the bridge? Yes, but it has been dreadful lately. But to be fair, if you look at some of the teams that have come, we've had Kiev, and it was the Europa League because it's the Europa League. No one cares. Wolves was really bad. I don't know quite why Wolves were so bad. It was only when we were behind and we were getting on the players' backs that it picked up. So yeah, the atmosphere, I've got no idea. It has been poor for a little while now, but I don't know what can be done to improve. Right. I'm quite glad someone's asked this because I got a lot of hate on the review I did after Wolves. Also quick diversion from that. Definitely to shout out to Lewis. He would be here. Unfortunately, he's a bit busy. But yeah, go back to it. Sorry with against teams that play 10 men behind the ball. There's a certain way you can play, and I don't think this speaks to Sorry. I think this speaks to us as a team. You look at City against Bournemouth. Bournemouth literally did the most 10 men behind the ball, 11 men behind the ball, whatever you want to say, defensive football has ever been seen. As far as I mean, they didn't have a shot. They didn't have. I think they had 28% possession or something like that. It was dreadful. City still managed to get through that because of the quality of the players they've got. We only just managed to scrape a draw against Wolves, and I know everyone's going to say it was Wolves, like they've done this against every team in the top 6 or whatever. But it's the manner in which we've come against Wolves, and as I said in the thing, we're coming against a defence that's bigger and stronger than our attackers. They're more likely to win in the air and whatnot, and we still played the same way. It's still, get it out wide, put crosses in for Higuain when he's going up against. Fair enough, Size and Cody are maybe not the biggest and strongest, and so he might have a chance against them. But certainly his body, he's got no chance. He's got absolutely no chance, and that's why. Something I was thinking about this today. I think something's going wrong. I think that in training something must be going wrong because either Sora's message is not getting across to the players, which means that I think that's the players' fault, or his message is getting across to the players, and the football we're seeing is Sarri's. Now, well, he's already said it's not Sarri, it's not the complete product, but it must be the next best thing because otherwise we wouldn't continue to play it. So therefore, what I have to go on is what I'm seeing on the pitch, and what I'm seeing on the pitch is what I'm seeing on the pitch. Sorry, I'm getting my words out there. Is that we're playing what Sarri wants, and if we're not, I don't know how to remedy that because we're seeing the same football we saw 4 months ago. Something has to. So that's why I'm confused. Something's completely wrong with the club as a whole. I think that something's wrong from the board to the managers to the players, but I don't really know where to fix it, to be honest. Who do I want in if Sarri goes? Honestly, I've got no idea. There's no one that can right the ship. I don't think Lampard's ready yet. I didn't want Zidane. I don't want Blanc. I don't want Zola personally. I don't want someone else was mentioned. Allegri, I don't want. Simeone is the only or Pochettino, the only two I want right now, and we're not going to get them. I don't know how memberships work. I'm not the best person to ask about that because I myself don't have one. I am bought tickets, so I personally, I don't know how they work. I'm not the best person to ask. Um, uh, Other questions. I want other questions. I want all sorts of questions. I want even if they're slightly kind of containing Chelsea, but even a little bit off, like for example England or like the ones about Madrid and whatnot. Season tickets, as far as I'm aware, I don't. As again, similar to memberships, don't know quite how they work, but I know season tickets you have to get a certain amount of points before, like the season before. You have to be in so many games the season before to get enough points to get season tickets. When I said Simeone, I was saying he would be the perfect man I'd want, just because he'd give the players more than anything, he'd give the players to kick up the backside they need. But we're not getting him at all. Uh, Thoughts on Madrid raiding Chelsea in the summer? I don't think they're going to raid us. I only think they're going to get Hazard personally. I know he probably wants Kante. I don't see us selling Kante. I don't see Kante as the type of player to force a move. Um, so yeah, I only see Hazard moving. That's it. I don't see anyone else moving. In what sense? When you Kaio, I do apologise if I have butchered your name. What do you mean by Chelsea dying? Elaborate, please. Uh, Somewhat Courtois in 5 words. Well, Snake's got to be in there. Can I have Snake 5 times? Or Snake 4 times and lol was one of them. You say that about Simeone, but uh, you say that about Simeone, but it works. I mean, look at Atletico Madrid like in the past few years. Look at them being up there with Barcelona and Real Madrid in terms of level for the most part. They won the league a few years back. So it might be defensive football. It works, and for me, I don't care about the style of football. I want us to get results. I only care about the style of football if we're losing games. If we're losing games and playing dreadful football, then what's the point? Um, Thoughts on Hudson-Odoi being left out of the England squad? I can't tell whether you're being serious about that. In terms of the England squad, I think it's as I said, I'll elaborate more tomorrow because I want to get the rest of the guys' thoughts on it. But I think when we got told by Gareth Southgate that people will be picked based on merit, I was going to use a big word. I can't remember how to say it, on merit rather than a name. It was nice to see when we started seeing people like Sancho and Wilson in the last squad get in, Rice in this squad. But to still see some of the players we're getting in this squad, and can I make a point? We've got 25 players in that squad, 12 of which can feasibly play in defence. Can someone please explain that to me? Because I can't work that out why we need up to 12 defenders in a 25-man squad. Please, someone explain that to me. Who should Chelsea sign? Honestly, there are so many players I can name. Icardi is up there. Fekir's up there, and he's feasible. I.e. Pulisic, unless they're absolutely needed, i.e. Jorginho, or they're a necessity, like we need it to replace someone, i.e. Kepa. Um, Position we need improvement on for me: winger, centre mid, left centre mid, centre back, both fullbacks. and possibly striker, but I think that should be last, only because I don't think Higuain is quite as bad as everyone makes out. Uh, but there are other positions we need to enhance and better before striker for me. Weakest Chelsea squad. I put this across to Louis and the rest of the guys a while ago, and they said no. I think they said last year's squad was worse than this. For me, I think it is, only because if you look at every year, there's been certain players that have been able to drag us through. And I think this year, even with having Hazard and Kante, two of the best in the world in their positions, I still think that we're so weak. Our defence, for me, is incredibly poor. I think that David Luiz is decent on his day, Rudiger's good on his day, but they're not having their day as often enough. Aspilicueta is so frustrating because he's such a top quality centre back, but he's been played as a right back and asked to get forward a lot, which he doesn't do. At least now that he's lost his legs, and I think on the left side we're so weak. How many seasons it would take for us to win the league? I have no idea. No idea. It's going to be a long, long, long while. The stadium question, I've seen that asked a couple of times. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I've not heard any more about it. Technical director. I think we do need one, and I think it should be Ballack. It's spoken of a lot. I think it should be Ballack personally, or Drogba. I would bring Drogba back, but he might be a bit busy with owning a football club. But yeah, one of those two. If not those two, then Czech, because I know he's coming back next year as an ambassador, in an ambassadorial role, I should say. But he might. I think he would do a good job there. I don't think we'll get Champions League next season. I honestly don't. I don't see us winning the Europa League. I can see us getting to the final, but I think we'll get beaten in the final, and we're not getting the top four. That might be quite pessimistic of myself. I know we're up there in terms of favourites for the Europa League, but I think the problem is you saw against Wolves. We are such an up and down team at the moment that on any given day we can turn up about. We could turn up and play a game like we did against City at home, or we can have the complete opposite, like a City away game. And we're so up and down. I think that on any given day we can get battered by any team, unless they are like a Kiev, like against Kiev at home, they were woeful. But I've seen this a couple of times about the attack and about the rest of our team being bang average. I wouldn't. West Ham's not the team I'm worried about. Wolves are the team I'm worried about, and Watford, because Watford, even though they are average at best defensively, I think going forward they're quite good. I mean, you saw against City, even though they conceded 3, they still scored with Deulofeu. And I think that as much as I hate Sex, I don't particularly like the guy as a player. I think that him and Troy Deeney is working well on their team as well. Andre Gray seems to be scoring, and it's those two that I'd be worried would start to overtake us, and all of a sudden we're about a mid-table side. We can buy back. We can buy back Thorgan Hazard. We did include a buyback clause. I don't think we'll use it, annoyingly, but we can. About Jorginho, I can see the qualities he brings to this team. There is just one problem, and that's that he needs the players around him to do other jobs so he doesn't have to. For example, he at the minute, in my eyes, or at least when we bought him in like the first half of the season, was seen to be the creative player in our midfield. Because it wasn't Kante, at least not at the start of the season. It certainly wasn't Kovacic or Barkley. We can even see that in a minute. They're just not creative enough for me. He needs to be that creative player. But for me, that's not his game, or not primarily his game. His game is being the metronome in the team, dictating the play. So for me, he needs the players around him to suit him, but he hasn't got that. So I think he could be up there with one of the better players in the league. But for that to happen, he needs to have the players around him. And for some reason, I think that when we got him, we should have signed others that would have helped him. Like, for example, we had Hamsik at Napoli. who helped him, or he had Zielinski, who was that more creative player for me. I would say watch him at Napoli, or even if you don't watch him, look at the stats, because everyone wants to talk about stats. Look at the stats. His assists, he had less assists than Allen. His pass accuracy was good, but it still wasn't the best out of the whole Napoli team. So I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think you need to look at it as a whole. I, I've noticed that now. I've just noticed there's someone talking about the wall striker Jimenez. Apparently, they are going to buy him, and it's for something like 41 million. And the fact that we were going to spend like 50 on Wilson and we could get Jimenez, who at the minute has in terms of goals and assists combined, is the best in the league. He has more goals than Firmino, Rashford, and others. I did give me a sec. I'll get up. I got a screenshot of the day. He has done amazing. I don't think Barkley deserves the England call up at all. I think he's been average this season. He's living off that goal that he scored for United. Sorry, against United, I should say. Personally, what players would I have back for next season? De Silva and Reece James, absolutely. I'd have Anya back as a second option for right back, and get rid of Zapcosta because he's dreadful. Mount. I'd have Abraham back as a second choice striker. For me, he's not a first choice striker. Apart from that, I'm not really sure. Zuma, actually, someone mentioned Zuma before. Zuma I'd bring back as well. Would I have Jose back if Sarri was sacked? No. And if it was 6 months, yes, because he would probably steady the ship. Probably, but no more than 6 months. Thoughts on Masunda? Overhyped, massively overhyped. He had one good season, and that was it. He had one good season at Real Betis, and that was it. Can't get in the Vitesse squad. I know he's injured at the minute, but couldn't get in the Vitesse squad. He was dreadful at Celtic. As I said, one good season at Real Betis, and then when he came back, he was not. He was average. What else? We all get the transfer ban, absolutely. Batshuayi is a weird one. I don't really know. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he works with us. Unfortunately, he's just one of those players that doesn't work with us. But I think he is a good player. I think you look at when he's played for Belgium, playing at Palace at the minute, he's doing all right. It's one of those players that only works really in a certain way, and unfortunately, that wasn't with us. I definitely would take Salah back. Absolutely. Thoughts on Ireland? Honestly, no idea. Are you talking about the country? Are you talking about the team? Trying to comprehend that comment about wanting to fight. Sure, whatever. I talk about Zuma. I definitely agree with that. If he didn't get injured, he'd still be in the team. At least, maybe not a starter, but certainly on the bench, where Christensen is. I think Zuma, had he been still going as he was, would definitely be better than Christensen is at the minute. That's just my opinion. The Zapcosta and Asby thing, was going to touch on before that comment about the fight. Going forward, certainly, I think Zapcosta's better, but the problem is he's a right back, he's a defender. First and foremost, for my defenders, I want them to be able to defend, and Zapcosta's defending is absolutely atrocious. For me, he's the second worst player in the squad on a consistent basis. I don't mean, obviously he's better than like some of the youth players we got probably, or he's better than, say, for example, he's better in his position than Rob Green is in his. But in terms of a consistent member of the squad, for me, Zapcosta is the second worst player we have. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd grab a beer. Why not? I do think the I've just seen that comment about Senjo and Kovacic. Um, Hazard is definitely the captaincy. I think it should be. I think as we've so he won't be quite as vocal. I don't think on the pitch, or won't be quite as vocal in the dressing room. But he'll lead by example of what he does on the pitch. And the problem is he's been a bit poor this season. I think Hazard is in a similar way. Um, but yeah, I think it should be Rudiger. For me, David Luiz is too erratic. Uh, and yeah, I think that David Luiz could be good in terms of he can hype everyone up, but he can also have those moments where he goes completely off the rails and whatnot. The swap deal for Asensio and Kovacic, I mean, we could try, but that's never going to happen. I don't see that. The uh, would I take Bale this summer? I would, but when we can't, unfortunately, due to the ban, unless the appeal goes through, then we can. Worst player in the squad for me is Alonso. I know he can have his good games. I know he can have his bad. I know he can have his good games. Sorry, sometimes, but more often not, he's absolutely dreadful. Watch the City game. That was that was a hopeless attempt at defending and playing football. It was dreadful. The sorry on Hudson, I think me and Lewis made a video on that. Go to the Wolves build-up show, match build-up show, and there's a section on Hudson Odoi, and you'll be able to see my comments to that. All I'll say is I think it's a joke. I think if you look at some of the players to play in uh, you look at some of the players that are playing in this league currently that are between 18 and 20, not even 21 or 22, 18 and 20. You've got Alexander Arnold made 20 appearances this season. Guendouzi, 25 appearances this season. Declan Rice, currently in the England squad, 26 appearances this season. You don't have to be 22 to suddenly start games. And it's a ludicrous, ludicrous, ludicrous suggestion to make. Um, the loan situation, we can keep Higuain, we can't keep Kovacic. And I'd keep Higuain for a loan for another season, only because, as I said earlier about transfers, there are other players I'd get, other positions I'd improve on before I improve the striker situation, personally. I don't think Kovacic is dreadful. I think that he's okay, but I think, again, he's another average player. But I know it's only one game, but I take the Wolves game, for example, and I think Lewis spoke perfectly as well in his fan cam. He's got no end product. He just passes all the time. It's sideways, backwards. It's forward sometimes, but it's pass, pass, pass. And his ball retention is very good. I'll give that to him. But when you've got someone who has equally as good ball retention, is younger, and has that end product, and is willing to take players on as well, you you shouldn't. I don't understand why you're starting, basically. Um, Chelsea, I don't think can make top four. Loftus Cheek can break into the starting 11. It all depends on this back injury, which again is another situation I don't understand personally. Would have preferred by Bailey. I've not seen much of Bailey personally. I've seen a bit of Pulisic because I watched a bit of the Bundesliga. Was even last year, the year before, and I saw a bit of him, and he looked good. Probably wouldn't have taken. Obviously, we're not starting as many games this year. I wouldn't have spent as much as we did on him. But yeah, I haven't seen much of Bailey, unfortunately, so I can't really comment on that. Jovic is an interesting one. I would have said no. I would have said no because of this, the fact he's had like a decent he's in the start of one season in at the top flight, but we've seen with him and Piatek now as well at Milan that doesn't matter. So Possibly. That's depressing. Our attack is actually the worst. If you take Hazard out of our front three, our attack is the worst of the top 6, maybe even worse of the top 7. I think we should have taken that money for Willian. How we managed to turn down 4 different bids, I'll never know. I will never know. 2 from Barcelona, one of which included Malcolm. Oh, it was 5. 2 from PSG, and then 1 from United. Christ. Oh, there's Lewis. What's up, Lewis? I have heard of Billy Gilmore. Haven't seen much of him, unfortunately. Again, I need to watch more of the youth. I really need to watch more of the youth. I enjoyed watching the youth a few years ago when we were in the cup. Right, the back injury. Right, I'm going to bring this up. I understand that he's recovering from a back injury, but then why a week ago does Maurizio Sarri sit in the press conference and say we've got no injury concerns? One of those two doesn't make sense. Either he's not suffering from a back injury and it's a lie, or he is, and Maurizio Sarri lied about there being no injury concerns. If he'd said that Loftus-Cheek was an injury concern, he won't be back for 2 or 3 weeks. In that press conference, this conversation doesn't happen. I've got no problems with him not starting games. Then as well, with that, why is he in the England squad? Because the England play next week. So it makes literally no sense. That the communication is off from somewhere, but I just don't know where. Score prediction: 2, depending on the team, 2 or 3-0 again. I don't see Kiev. Maybe Dave's scoring because it's away, but don't really see them doing much. Thank you very much. Always appreciate the support. Again, Kai Havertz is another one. I've watched highlights of him this season a little bit. And he looks like a very good player. He looks like he can get. He looks like he's very adaptive. He can play in the middle. He can play out on the right. He looks like a very good player. Sorry, looks like he's trying to adapt, but I feel that we're getting to a stage where the adaptation was good, was very good, but there are comments he made after the game which made no sense about Jorginho and about that adaptation. Personally, to say that he can't play in a 4-3-2, 4-2-3-1, sorry, when he played there for a year and a half before Sarri even got to Napoli is I can't explain that, but hey ho. He did get called up. It doesn't mean he'll play. For me, then there's no point if he's not going to play or get any minutes, especially when there's 20. As I said, there's 25 people in that squad. If he's not going to play, he's not going to get minutes, and he's recovering from an injury. Don't pick him. I think either Southgate should have talked to Sarri about that, or Sarri should have communicated. If there's been that communication and Southgate's ignored it, that's on him. But I from the looks of things, I can't really tell if this communication's happened. And if it hasn't, as I said, the communication is completely off. Main position to improve. No, for me, a midfielder's up there, but it's got to be the fullbacks. The fullbacks were so dire. They're so bad at the minute. As I said, Azpilicueta for me isn't a fullback; he's a centre back. He could be up there with one of the best centre backs in the world. For me, he was up there just based on stats and everything. The year we won the league under Conte, but yeah, but he's playing the wrong position. And then Emerson's average and Alonso's terrible, and Zappacosta's terrible for me. So I think we need to get positions there. In terms of who we should get, I think Wan-Bissaka and Chilwell. Literally about the same. He's come up. Ben Chilwell definitely. Another one who we could get, who is available. I'll say based on what I've heard, it's not concrete. Based on what I've heard, there is a very real possibility that arguably one of the best left backs in the world, for my money, the best left back in the world is available come the summer. Apparently, Marcelo is moving to Juventus. We have agreed a deal, What am I talking about? Real Madrid have agreed a deal with Juve. Marcelo's agreed terms. It's just coming to in terms of price. That means possibly Alexandro will be available. For the love of God, if we don't try everything to get him, I can't really tell what we're doing. Talking about Fernandes and Ziyech, Fernandes is another one I haven't talked about. He plays in the Portuguese league, a bit hard to. I've seen a lot of Ziyech. He would be a very, very, very good option. My only problem with him is he doesn't. He's got a similar problem to other players we've seen, to the likes of Kepa, if you want to go back to what happened in the final, to other players we've seen in terms of attitude. His attitude, unfortunately, is really poor. So when he was at Utrecht, I believe it was Utrecht. Oh, no, it was AZ. No, Twente. Third time lucky. I got there eventually. When he was at Twente, there was talk of him leaving for a good long time. And then he left and he's gone to RZ. So he's gone to Ajax, and even for Ajax for a year or so, it's been talk of him leaving, him not being happy. He's had spats with the fans and whatnot. So I just worry about his attitude if we get him. As of right now, we can't sign anyone in the summer. As of right now, but we're sending your AA Banana. You're kind of half right. We have been rejected by FIFA, but we're taking the appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport (CAS), and we're trying to go through them. I want to say that's similar to what one of the clubs, either Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, or Barcelona did. I think one of them had the same problem. I think I could be wrong. But yeah, so fingers crossed we should be getting that through them. We should be getting, they should be allowing us to do the appeal from my words there. Do apologise. Yeah. Ziyech is a good player. I think we've seen that for Morocco in the World Cup. He was good. I think we've seen that for Ajax, particularly those that watched the Real Madrid match the other night. But the attitude problem it's massive. And with the problems we've got at the minute with player power, it's just. I didn't personally watch Morata yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't have BT Sport, so I can't watch the games live. Our defense is poor. I think our midfield is. I wouldn't say it's too defensive. I think our midfield's at the right pace it needs to be for the most part. I just think that it. How can I put this best? I think that it's. I think you are right. It's in terms of the attack being too predictable. I think that can be the same can be said for our midfield. It's too easy to work out where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and I think that's the problem. I should get a live stream. That's a fair point. Um, I, I don't know whether to how to word these comments. Um, as I kind of spoke about earlier about his comments that he made when he was on the kickoff. I think they were silly. I've never met him personally. I've never met him personally. I know that other people on the channel have, and they say nice things about him. I'm going to reserve judgment till I meet him personally. I don't really. I think, as I said, I think the comments made the other night were silly. I think they were a bit baseless, if I'm being honest. But apart from that, there's not a lot to say. That's about it. I don't really want to speak ill personally of other channels, especially when there's no need. That's just my opinion. Top 5 Chelsea legends: Terry, Lampard, Drogba, first 3. Oh no, Terry, Lampard, check, Drogba. Oh, actually no. There's this much. No, Terry, Lampard, first 2 definitely. Drogba and Check are definitely in there, but I think that I'm gonna put someone above them, but I can't. I'm debating between either Zola. Actually, no, Zola's not above them. I'd probably put Ron Harris above. Third personally, and you could maybe as a 6th throw in Ray Wilkins. He's one player I need to go back and watch. Him and Ashley Cole's another one. I think he's unfortunately just outside the top 5. But for me, yeah, Terry's number 1. I think for the fact that I think it's been spouted so many times. He was the last Chelsea product to come through, youth product to come through into the first team on a consistent basis. And then Lampard, obviously, for what he did for the club, for the goals and whatnot. Drogba and Czech are definitely in there, but I think for me, third is Ron Harris, as I said. I don't consider how. I don't know if I consider Hazard a Chelsea legend personally. I think what I'm basing it off of. But I'm going to say no. But what I'm basing that off of is the fact if you look at other legends of our club, so you look at the Terrys, the Lampards, the Drogbas, the Czechs, the Harrises, Wilkins, Hoddle, Benetti, as someone's put, Osgood. For me, I can't put him up there. It's really difficult to say, and it's really it. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, Andrew. I think he's I think he's a cult hero. He's one of those that's a cult hero, but I think he's just below a legend. I don't think we'll get top 4. I think that I know they're on a bad run and they're kind of bottling it, so to speak. But I think that Tottenham will get there. I think they'll finish 4th. I think that United will finish above them. But I think if you look at United at the minute, yes, they lost to Arsenal. That was a poor result for them. But I think if you look at that was their first loss, and I think that was only their second loss in like 10, 11 games since Solskjaer's come in. I know I haven't got a game in hand, but it's even so, we'll be 5th if we win that. And I don't know. I don't see it personally. As I said, we've still got to play Liverpool away. We've still got to play United away. Got to go to Everton at the weekend, and Everton are yes, they lost to Newcastle, but I can certainly see them scoring in that game and then doing what Wolves did. And yeah, the games we've got coming up, there's debatable. Streaming probably going for another 5 minutes to 10 to, roughly about 10 to, and then I'll go so I can let everyone and probably myself find a stream. Watch the Champions League tonight. Hopefully, Bayern Munich absolutely batter Liverpool. But yeah, probably another 5 minutes or so. So get all your questions in that you have. Any other questions you want me to answer? Cardiff away, we're going up on the Friday? Yeah, the Friday, I believe. Uh, Everton away, I'm going to as well. I'm going to pretty much all games. The only games I won't be going to that I know of between now and the end of the season are any away games, unless it's a good away day. So, for example, Prague, if they get through tomorrow night, and some such, and possibly any Europa League home games. And the only reason I say that is because I'm with. For those who don't know, you probably do know at this point. I have a child. I have a son, a newborn, and money is not the most. It's not all that readily available to me at the minute. And so possible games. I don't go be the Europa League games, but apart from that, I should be going to every other game. sort of loads of questions need to get in. Score prediction, 2 or 3-0, I think personally. Opinions on that channel, I spoke about a little bit earlier. I don't really want to speak bad about them just for the professionalism's sake. I don't think that's right. But what I will say, that I think some of the comments they make are a bit silly and done kind of in a heat of the moment sort of thing. But I don't necessarily think that some of the people involved with the channel are bad people. The Kiev game tonight, I'm not going to, unfortunately. I don't. I possibly do have the money, but I didn't particularly want to go to Kiev. No offense to any people watching from Kiev, but Ukraine doesn't seem like the most enticing place to go. I think Hudson, I think, could step up, but I don't think he will at the minute with the games I'm getting. Who will win Europa League? For me, it's either Napoli or. Honestly, I'd say Napoli at this point. I would have said Sevilla, but I don't think if you're conceding 2 goals to Slavia Prague at home, I don't really see you've got that much of a chance when you come up against better sides. Thank you very much. Louis is back for Everton. He'll be back for the Everton game for all the build up and whatnot for that. I agree with you in terms of Wan-Bissaka. I don't know. Like, if I was in his shoes, I would stay English, but you do have to wonder how he gets into that England team when you've got Trippier getting in, who's been woeful this season. Walker, fair enough, like he's been quite good. Quite good. He's playing for probably the best. He's playing for the best team in England. But I think that Wan-Bissaka definitely is knocking on that door. Players that care for the club. Aspi, I think, does. I think David Luiz does. I think Rudiger does. I think that Kante does. I think that Hazard does for the most part. I think Loftus-Cheek does. I think Hudson-Odoi does. Bar that. Ampadu does. Bar that. Hard to say, which is quite depressing. I don't know how Dyer gets in, to be honest. Like, I think as I said, I think there's about 6 questionable choices, to be honest. How do I balance uni work with Chelsea games? Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, this season I've been brilliant with uni work. I've been missing it quite a lot, but I just think you've got to find the right balance in life between everything. I think the main thing is you've got to find the right balance between getting all your work done and being happy. I think whatever you do, you've got to be happy. I study sports business and sports broadcasting. So you can see it's working very well being a presenter. I wouldn't say Southgate's a BTEC contact. I just think that I think he's done wonders with England, bearing in mind where we were. But I think that my only concern is he's falling into the same traps that Hodgson did in terms of picking players based on a name and based on previous success. What when you say I'm pessimistic, in what sense? About what? Or just in general? You think if we can get a Ren? I don't trust Suarez to get the best out of the squad as it is now. Eventually, if we get a few players in that help towards the system, yes. But as it is now, no. There's not a good enough. Like the squad as a whole, I don't think is good enough to play Sarri. What you consider Sarri ball. I'm not the best person to ask about that because I came onto the channel uh, only this year. The best person to ask would be Lewis, or even better person to ask would be Eunice, because he's the one that originally started this channel. Oh, definitely the government. Jesus Christ, it's the government. We're bad, but the government's a joke. That's a whole other kettle of fish, though, to be honest. Napoli, I don't know if we can get past in a one-legged game. Possibly. It's a meh. Well, I said I was going to be going to 10-8, and I'm going to end the stream there just because I've been going for a very, very long time. But yeah, thank all you guys for watching and for listening in. Thank you all those guys that were giving me support in the comments. You're very kind. I will be back along with Lewis, Jordan, a few of the others tomorrow for a watch along of the game. Cheers, mate. Right at the end. Yeah, for a watch along with the game. I'll see you all then. And yeah. I'll answer one final question because this guy wants me to answer this question. I'll find the last question he asked. I answered this question. If Hazard leaves, do you think Callum is the one to take on his footsteps? I think he can. But I think in the current climate with how he's playing, with the lack of game time, no. Does that answer your question? Hopefully it should. But yeah, as I was saying, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for a possible watch along with Chelsea. Regardless of whether we do a watch along or not, we will do a review straight after the game. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for Dynamo Kiev versus Chelsea. Peace.